right, welcome to the podcast, everybody. Hey, got some guests on today. We're going to talk to Midwest Prints and how they became the business that they became. I think they grabbed a large client, had some success, and we want to hear their story, and we're going to hear what they've done from a marketing standpoint and how they've come about to be who they are and what their plans are in the future. Guys, thanks for joining. We got Steve and Nicardo, right?
You can say Nick works, man.
Nick works. We're gonna go with Nick, everybody. This is
everybody gets it right. All right.
we got Nick and we got Steve from Midwest Prints, and they are located in Munster, Indiana. So Munster is in Northwest Indiana. We probably shouldn't even say Indiana, right, guys? That's more like Chicago. Isn't that right?
Yeah, basically we're like 15, 20 minutes from the city.
So we call that the region.
Right, yeah.
All right. So guys, why don't you tell us where you guys have come from, how you started, and what got you into digital marketing? What have you done? What have you liked? That's a lot of questions, man. So sounds like you're going to do a lot of talking.
Yeah. Well, just to give you a quick where everything started, I've known Nick for a while, and we've always had a crazy ambition back in high school. Like, dude, like, we're gonna come out, we're gonna have make a business, have a concept, we're gonna have a business of our own, and this, that, and the other. And we've had like so many ideas where it just didn't pan out. I mean, we had like crazy ideas from like a limo service to trying to flip and rehab houses. Yeah, construction, rehab houses, and so. Actually, the whole concept behind how this even started was out on a limb based from Nick and his wife, who had an idea of, hey, let's print workout apparel, which was started out as the workout apparel line was called Progress is Perfection. So I guess Nick will kind of give you the background of how that worked and how it kind of worked into what Midwest Prints is kind of today. So, which is like, if you would have told me, if you would have asked me this question, what would you think you'd be doing? Like 5 years. Like, I wouldn't have said printing T-shirts was like a way to of what we're going to be doing. Like, we've always had ideas of, bigger things, but the simplest thing as far as printing T-shirts and making your customers satisfaction number one, and just like overall customer service is huge. And we've learned that like time over. So, like I said, I'll let Nick give you the background on how he came up with the idea of just the workout apparel line and what it came to Midwest Prints right now. So,
cool.
Yeah. So basically, I have a history in architecture. I went to school for architecture at Illinois Institute of Technology. I'm still working as an architect right now. Me and my wife were looking for something to do on the side. We wanted to start a family. She wanted to stay at home, so we just needed something just to kind of compensate for her, staying at home. So we started with the apparel line, and that was in March, I believe, Steve, of 2016.
March
2016. We did that for like 5 or 6 months. We had some success, but it was steadily growing, but not as quick as we would have liked. We purchased all the equipment in-house. So we had this tiny little screen press that we had on our kitchen table. We were doing like 10 shirts an hour, like super slow process. But yeah, that's how we started. And I had a buddy of mine who owned a restaurant. He wanted some T-shirts for his restaurant. So we printed for him, and he told another buddy, and they told another buddy, and it just kept growing from there. And like, hey, we've printed more for businesses in the past 2 weeks than we have in the past 6 months for our clothing line. Why don't we just start printing for businesses? So that turned into printing for schools, for churches, for restaurants, you name it. We did a lot of stuff for Greek apparel as well. We got the license for all that stuff. So yeah, it was very local when we first started. We connected with some local designers here, and it just continued to grow. Just the good thing about us is we can do some of the things that the bigger companies just don't have the time to. So I'll show up at a Starbucks with somebody and just have my sketchbook and just kind of spend that extra time to bring their designs to life. So yeah, this kind of a little backstory of where we're at.
So you word of mouth at first, right? So you're out there, you're hitting word of mouth. One person tells 2 people, tells 3. So tell me about the digital side. So I know you guys are on Facebook, and that's probably been your biggest avenue. How did you go beyond the regional or the local?
I think we've really been using Instagram, especially the last few months. With Facebook, we've seen the limitations of what you can do in terms of not doing paid ads. We're still dabbling into that, trying to figure that out. But with Instagram, I mean, just as simple as just some hashtags, you can reach out to a bunch of different people across the country. We're actually working right now with a clothing line from Indy. They found us on Instagram. I had hashtag something. They had seen our clothing line and they reached out to us. So we've been working with them. And we've done work for people in Florida, California. We did some for Australia. Just the platform of Instagram is just incredible in comparison to, I think, anything else. So I think this next year, this 2018 year, we're really trying to make a push to just kind of expand outside of the region and, the counties that are around us and just kind of go more global.
Right. I mean, the whole thing, the whole side behind it was first year was kind of like, let's figure out how this stuff actually works and we'll do it locally. And then finally, once we kind of got a good hand on like how to market to people that are within our region, that are close to us in the neighboring towns or whatever the case is, and then how we can expand. And like I said, social media is a huge platform. I mean, not just Facebook, like Nick said, Instagram, we're starting to dabble into that. And it's just like, the amount of what just a simple hashtag can do for your business is like mind blowing. Like all it needs to take is one person who owns like a huge business to see it, and then to see the quality of your work, and then just to review and just look a little deeper into your company and notice that you have the customer service ratings to back everything that you're saying and doing. So I mean, with that alone, it's huge. So which is why now I think after year one, we've seen what we were able to do, and we're confident in the quality of what we print. So now I think we're looking at more on a bigger scale from not just being around here, but now outsourcing through going to like Nick said, different countries, Australia, Mexico. See, like I out of a limb the other day, I just emailed the company out in Mexico and said, hey, it's a huge brewery in Mexico. And I said, hey, would you guys have any need for any printing services for any like apparel that you guys have, merchandise? And they responded, yes. So now we're in the process of trying to put together something for them. I mean, this is Mexico, like, again, huge platform what social media can do for you. You know what I mean?
So it's interesting. I like what you guys say. You had to learn before you could really expand, right? You had to get your stuff right. And I think too many times people go, I'm going to go big, and they go big and they crash and burn because they don't have the processes in place. They don't have the understanding in place. And ultimately they don't have the customer service in place. And that's really why they crash and burn. So look, I've been to your guys' website. I see all those reviews. What drives that? What do you, I mean, I know you guys have looked at our review platform, and I'm still going to challenge you guys to go put a big old list in there and see what really happens, because that's always fun. I enjoy that platform is unreal. But look, you guys had to take care of those customers, right? And I look at reputation and taking care of customers in a way different way than most people. I look at it as, hey, I look at reputation as more of retention. If somebody takes the time to leave you a review or to give you feedback and give you that great feeling or whatever it might be, then what they're doing is telling you they're going to come back and shop with you, right? They're going to order again. For you guys, they're going to order again. And I've seen your reviews. So how does customer service work? What are you doing specifically to be different, right? Because look, I could go print some shirts. I could probably talk to people on the phone. I could do what you do, but I'm not you. So why am I not you?
So
I think one of the biggest things, let me handle this one, Steve. One of the biggest things that we do is we really try not to nickel and dime our customers. A lot of these shops that you go to, they'll charge you, X amount of money to do simple artwork that I know takes a few seconds or a few minutes. And yeah, granted, it's skills that I needed to learn, in the design world. And, I could charge for that. But at the end of the day, if it's something so simple, I'll be honest with the customer. And we've landed so many customers that way by saying, hey, I'm not going to charge you for this. Let's get your design down packed. You know, so there's a lot of the clothing lines that we'll work with. They'll want a sample. They'll want to take it to markets. We'd work with a lot of people that do markets, and just to see if it's going to sell. And you know, sometimes we'll do samples for them just to take it out there, gauge the market, see which designs are going to sell. They'll take 4 or 5 of them out there, and then they'll come back and say, hey, 1 and 5 did great. Let's put a run in for 100 shirts of each, and let's not worry about 2, 3, and 4. And those are things that some of the bigger guys won't do just because they don't have the time, or they just, you know, they don't want to waste that time.
They don't need it. They just don't need it.
Right.
Listen, I love the small business. This is exactly what I preach all the time. You know, a lot of businesses want to go work with the big companies, right? You know, in maybe in a, and I don't want to pick on anybody, but if you think about the local listings, we all know what that is, right? So is my Google Places right? All my listings, are they all right? And there's a big company out there called Yext, and Yext charges you monthly to make sure that they're all right. But dude, you're a number. What makes you think that a small marketing agency can't do that for you and take that personal touch to walk you through and make sure it's right instead of just doing it? That's amazing, man. I commend you, because that personal touch is something that nobody, but you're right. The big guys just aren't going to do it. It's just not going to happen. They have their policies. I love the fact that you don't nickel and dime, man. Listen to this. I mean, look, hey, Nick, I want this. What's it going to cost? You're not sitting there with the piece of paper going, line item, right? You just go,
and
dude.
we could. I mean, we easily could charge them, hey, we're going to make a big amount of money in the beginning, but if we can maybe cut that in half and then gain that customer for the rest of their lives, I mean, that's where it's at. Because, I mean, like I said, this one guy that we've worked with since the beginning, he's his name's Kevin. He runs Region Wear. He's the owner here. He's in a lot of shops, and we've just seen him grow like crazy. And he'll text me, or he'll email me and say, hey, I want to try this. You know, can we try that? And I'll work with him. He's also an architect, and I love working with designers because I love seeing their story grow. And I think that's what's helped us succeed so much is when our customers succeed in their business, we're going to succeed. So it's not a one-way streak. So like I said, if we can maybe cut some corners in terms of cost for the customer in the beginning, just to help them in the long run, I mean, that's why we have such loyal customers.
It's almost like keeping it simple, right?
Right, yeah.
This is what it's going to take to get it done, and let's just move forward. If I had to sit and look at line items and I have to decide, well, do I really want this logo design, or do I really want this one thing, or do I need this one stitch, or do I need the one thing on the sleeve? You know, I can only imagine how painful, as a business owner myself, how painful that is. I wouldn't do it. It would just turn me off, and I'd probably just scrap the whole idea. And trust me, I've actually been there, and I've actually done that. I've actually just said, forget it. we'll do something different. So that's a true story. I won't tell you who it was, but that's a true story. So look, man, you guys are doing good. What's you're doing social media. You're pushing hard on the social media. What's 2018? What are you guys looking at?
I think for 2018, like, we came up with a completely different approach from beginning of 2017 to 2018. Like, so when we started off 2017, we started off with a huge run. We were busy, and we're just as busy this month. But I think we're trying to grasp the whole concept of, you know, marketing wise, as far as like further out as opposed to just being local now. So for us, I think we have a goal this year to sit there and try to do more work outside of Indiana, outside of the US. You know, like I said, try to find those clients that are, you know, in different countries like Mexico, or, you know, like I said, we don't work for ones that are in Australia, you know. So I think we're trying to get out a little bit more, put our name out there a little bit more, dig a little deeper into exactly the marketing aspect of it. Like I said, I mean, Facebook can only do us so much, just like Instagram. So like I said, digging a little deeper into trying to be able to put ourselves out there, I think that's definitely where we're at for 2018.
To add to that, you don't want to just be a good company. I think in 2017, that's pretty much all we did. We printed T-shirts, we printed some other types of apparel, pants, bags, things like that. Looking back on all the customers that we had worked with, we saw a big need for just branding in general. A lot of these businesses, yeah, they would need t-shirts for their restaurant or for their boutique, but they also needed banners for their store or decals for their windows, or, you know, new logo, or their Facebook needed work, or their website needed updated. And they were getting that from somewhere. And those are resources that we could offer them. We weren't pushing it like we should have. So I think there's going to be a major push this next year to hire more designers, hire more people that can help us to kind of tackle that new load of now, hey, we're not just going to produce your t-shirts, but we're going to help your entire business take it to another level.
So we just had come on the line, Steve, up in, hey, way to be on time, buddy. So he's just joined the podcast here. He's up in Michigan. And so he runs Web Development Goals. All right. So he's just north of you guys up in Troy. And I'm south of you, obviously. We're all still cold right now, though, right? Everybody's cold.
Yeah.
I want to make sure the weather is cold. So, Steve, since you missed it, these guys are something else, man. These guys started maybe athletic apparel type thing in the house. We're working on their own line, if you will, and then they started making some clothing or some articles for, you know, some screen printing or embroidery, I'm sure, for somebody who owned a business, and then it just kind of grew from there. And now they're just doing a bunch of businesses and everything like that, which is phenomenal. But Steve, these guys said they're getting a bunch of stuff off of Instagram, hashtagging. So they're hashtagging, and that hashtag is reaching an audience, if you will, and they're locking it down, which is awesome, by the way. And I think I saw something on you guys' Facebook page, Chick-fil-A something. So, I mean, we've got some. We've been blessed to have some big hitters. I mean, Chick-fil-A was our most recent one. We've done work for Ross, Boys and Girls Club. So some of those big hitters are definitely coming our way because they're seeing our work, they're seeing our reviews. I mean, that's the big one is people just keep commenting, hey, we saw your reviews and we want to work with you guys because evidently you guys are doing something right. See, and the reviews thing is funny. And I know Steve will have an opinion on this too. It's not, you know, reviews are great, right? You got to have them. You need to have them. I think everybody kind of knows that. And people do read reviews. We know that. But there's a buying emotion when someone decides to make a purchase. I can find you online, right? That's internet marketing. I can find you online. I can find you. I can see your products as I can see your services. But the buying emotion is triggered by, okay, you're good enough for me to buy from. And that's what that review is, right? That review is that trigger. So what do you think about that, Steve? Am I on point there?
I believe you are. JD?
Oh, well, that's a great answer.
You want me to argue with you?
No. So I challenge these guys. So I'm going to challenge you guys. I want you to put your entire customer list into that system, right? So, and I want to have you guys back on, and I want to hear what happened, right? You put the names in, what happened.
How big is your customer list, by the way?
I'd say maybe a few hundred. I mean, it's not that big. You know, we've only been in business for about a year now. So overall, yeah, I'd say a few hundred. But in terms of repeat customers, we have a pretty good following that, you know, these clothing lines that we work with, they'll reorder every couple weeks. So they definitely keep us busy. Right now, it's just a handful of us, so we don't want to tackle too many customers until we get more work. And we're actually interviewing a few different people this week to bring them on, so we can just kind of expand that networking list.
So how many reviews do you have on Google right at the moment? Do you have any idea, Steve?
Is it one?
It's one. It's you. It's your own. No, hey, Steve. They most of the reviews are on Facebook, right? I mean, that's where it's at. So it's on Facebook. Right. I think that these guys, and I don't want to talk for you. You can definitely correct me if I'm wrong. Most businesses, it's hard to get Google reviews, right? I mean, would you guys agree with that?
Yeah,
I would agree.
It's hard, right? So having a platform, and I think that's, you know, you guys are taking a look at something I want you to try out, is what makes it easy, right? Makes it easy for the customer to click. They're where they need to be. Let's get them the opportunity to say all those great things. I love what you guys are doing, man. Matter of fact, you talk about those big hitters, that you guys are working with. I heard there's another big hitter coming into play for you guys too. Did you guys want to expand on that Bizinga company?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no. So I mean, there's what you did, you kind of sit there and like what you sent us the other day. One thing I was telling Nick right off the bat, when it boiled down to, we thought like I'll just Facebook alone was, because the thing was we always used to follow up personally. It was always like a one-on-one basis. It was never like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna call or I'm gonna send you an email. Can you do this, do that? And what I told Nick the other day was, when we both actually got a chance to look at how this works and operates, I was like, it's one thing for us to call and follow up personally, but it's another thing to have somebody write a review and it goes to Google, because then I come from a sales background and just as it is. So for me, reviews basically everybody looks at reviews. The first thing that anybody does when they go find a job, what do? They look at Glassdoor and look at the reviews. How do people look? Do they like the place? What are the salaries like and everything else? So they always do their research before, they end up, wanting to buy anything from you. So what I told them was like, the more reviews we can get on a bigger platform and not just Facebook, could possibly generate more customers coming our way, which therefore would in turn end up boosting sales and profits overall, which can allow us to do the other things that we want to do, like, get into the whole graphic design work for businesses and stuff like that. So just this little step, which we had no idea that we could possibly do. So we thank you for. I can't wait to dive in and just see what happens, So
yeah, and for us, I think the thing that's tough is what you've described is awesome, right? But that manually putting those names in takes some time, right? So we have some automations too, and that's more of a bulk type of thing. It's important because as you guys get busier, you're already busy. It sounds like to me, who has time? It's kind of a catch-22. You don't have time not to, but you don't have time to do. And so we want to automate that for you guys and make that work. So every time you close down an order, 7 days later, they get a review request, right? If you can automate that, now you're really killing it, right? Whether it's coming off it comes off your UPS deal, whatever we use as what we call a trigger, but that's the key, right? We continue to innovate over here too. Believe it or not, we're always innovating. So,
right. And I think that's one of the things that truly sets us apart, because we do, like Steve was saying, follow up individually with other people. And even if it was automated, the fact that we just still follow up, I feel like a lot of times as a customer, if something's wrong with your order, either you forget about it or you just don't care enough to contact the company. We do care. And there's been times that, we're human, we make mistakes, and either a shirt was, printed incorrectly, or they were short a shirt, or, if you're printing 1,000 shirts and you misplace one, are they really going to call you about it? But if you actually follow up with them, say, how was your order? Were you 100% satisfied? And if there's something wrong, like, hey, we're going to try and do everything we can to possibly fix it for you. And give us a few days, we'll get you another t-shirt or, whatever we can, just to make sure that they're 100% satisfied. And after that, honestly, I don't really have to follow up again with them to write a review. Just with that step alone, they'll go right away. And I'll see, my Facebook pop up, hey, notification, so-and-so left you a review.
I'll tell you what, man, I love your guys' focus on customer service. It's a testament as to where you are. And it's really why you are where you are. I talk to thousands of businesses, and that's no joke. Steve can attest to that. Thousands of businesses use our platform. I talk to them all. I've seen the good, I've seen the bad, and I've seen the ugly. What you guys do is fantastic. There's nothing wrong with a bad review. Honestly, right? Because if somebody leaves you some feedback that says, hey, it wasn't right, you learn from it. And that's okay. Right. Not always fun to deal with, but it is important that people have that forum, no matter what it is. Because even if you called me in person and said, hey, is everything okay? I'll be like, yeah, everything's all right. And maybe I'd tell you if I had a discrepancy on a number, but if it was some little thing, I'd probably just let it slide. Mm-hmm. On an email, or on a text or on a feedback type thing, maybe I'd be a little bit more open.
You got that safety of the computer screen.
Yeah, you got that, what we call the keyboard courage, right? I got the keyboard courage.
Right there, yeah.
So the keyboard courage is always good. So, but listen, man, I love what you guys do. We're gonna bring you guys back on. We'll bring Steve in from Web Development Goals up there in Troy, Michigan. We'll bring him in and we want to hear where you guys are at. I want to follow up. I want to see where you guys are in a couple months. I really want to say, all right, reviews, obviously, whatever. But man, I'm curious to see where you guys hit. I mean, you guys got some big businesses you're working with. I think it's awesome. What happens this year is going to be amazing for you guys. I can tell you're already off and running. I can't wait to hear the rest of the story. That's like a Paul Harvey deal, right? The rest of the story.
Yes, Paul Harvey.
So that's my new thing. I'm going to be Paul Harvey over here.
There we go.
That's the rest of the story. So thanks for coming on, fellas.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
We'll definitely get your name out there, and hey, we'll send you in some mock-up prints. See what you can. I love the athletic side, by the way. I'm that guy. I mean, I know I'm black and white here, but this is a baseball shirt, little zipper on it. So.
And it's funny, when we first started, just one more quick story. We actually bought a ton of shaker cups, the actual blender bottles from Blender Bottle with our logo on it. And like I said, we had some success, but not a lot. And now we have a closet
about what,
probably 400 shaker bottle. Now it's like 400.
Oh, I might buy them, man. I might buy those. Put Bizinga across the back.
We'll make sure to send them your way.
Yeah. They're all vintage. They're all specially made with Progress is Perfection on it. So you're all set.
That's right. We're talking clearance items over here. We love clearance.
Those are mistakes that we learned from. Very expensive mistakes.
Well, thanks again, fellas. Can't wait to hear the rest of the story. We're going to have you in. And, man, I do get up to Chicago. I don't know if anybody knows this. I used to live in Chicago. I spent about 5 years. I lived up there. And so I'm very familiar with where Munster is. And I will stop by, man, on one of my trips up there. I think I still own part of a condo up there. So I have to I get up there once in a while. So
all right, come back.
We're not far. Thanks again, fellas.
Nice meeting you guys.
All right.
Take care.